Welcome to the April the 16th, 2002 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that are helping to make history or have made history in the past, but continue to make history this very day. And such is the case with our history number 454. We're delighted to have a very special young man with us today. And Kerry Gunnels, we want to welcome you to the set, young man.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, and wonderful titles, the Assistant Metropolitan Editor and the News Bureau Chief of the Dallas Morning News and what we call our Grand Prairie Morning News.
Right.
And so it's very exciting, and that's the reason we're here today. And since Kerry may not have all of the historical background that we would like to have, in approximately 1907, the Grand Prairie Texan came into being. And it's a wonderful history, and we have many of the microfilm in the library of that beginning newspaper, and we're just able to go to the library and bring to life some of the things that happened almost 100 years ago, because in 2007 we will be approximately 100 years old, beginning our 100th year. And I knew you would like to have all of that wonderful data. It's very exciting to be able to bring us back, but to bring us up to date is the most exciting thing. And Mr. Tovar, who's in the control room, I know he's going to want to later on get a shot of a wonderful cover that I've received from the Grand Prairie Morning News, and I thought that was very exciting because, you know, I save these and recycle them, and I put some of my garbage into those, and so it's not garbage in, garbage out, as you would think, but it really does make a wonderful recycling bag. So I want to thank you for putting that over the paper as it's delivered in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Well, I've been a newspaper man for about 28 years, so I'm used to the work that I do being used for all sorts of recycling projects, lining bird cages and wrapping fish and recycling garbage. So
yes.
As long as we can be of service after we impart our information, that's great.
That's wonderful. Several years ago, at the demise of the Grand Prairie News, we had just before that, we had a big 90th birthday party. And we had everyone from the downtown big wigs all the way out to our Grand Prairie News that was at that time. So we've had a 90th celebration of your paper along the way. And as you have recycled the name of it into different entities. And so we're real excited about this new Grand Prairie Morning News.
Well, we're very excited about it too.
All right. I would just like for you to tell us a little bit about the excitement, what you all do, where you're located, and even though it's in Arlington, it's just across the street from Grand Prairie. So would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're very close to the city line, actually. We office at the production facilities of DFW Publishing Company, which does a lot of job printing projects. The address is 1000 East Avenue H in Arlington. But as I say, we're very close to the county line. We are beginning our third week of publication of the Grand Prairie Morning News.
Yeah.
We are excited. We've had a very good reception from Grand Prairie readers about what we're doing. Lots of people. There's always people who are upset and concerned about any kind of change, but we've been very fortunate in that, at least on the Grand Prairie side, people are very encouraging and have been very complimentary about what we're trying to do.
Probably about 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, you called together a meeting in Grand Prairie of some of the leaders, and you had some really big names from the Dallas Morning News and also from your paper to bring together this group, and you gave us a special treat in that you told us at that time that was sort of like a press release to a few people that we were going to have this, and people have really, really been excited. And now Leona, that was due to be here today, was such a very special young lady, and she was also one of the Toastmasters for the Chamber of Commerce for their awards. And we miss her today, but you have her on a special assignment today.
That's right. She's busy covering breaking news today.
Breaking news, and we aren't breaking news, but we may be one of these days. Who knows? we may have something real exciting going on here in Grand Prairie, because I've noticed with a great deal of interest that your Arlington schools have received a lot of media about their 100th birthday. And we were excited since they've had their birthday in April, and we're into April right now. They're having their 100th birthday. And in July the 5th of this year, Grand Prairie is having their 100th birthday. And so we wanted to get you on the spot today and say, now look, Carrie, are we going to get all of the good coverage that we need for our Grand Prairie schools?
I can guarantee you will.
Oh, that's good to hear. And since we
guarantee.
have this on tape, I know that the Grand Prairie ISD will be real excited about that. And we have a young lady from your place, and I believe I have her name, Jennifer Aaron.
Right.
Yes.
She's one of our bright stars
Is
in
she?
our newsroom. She's covers Grand Prairie schools full time, and she's very good, very energetic, and very smart. So she'll be in charge of coverage of that event, and I have every confidence she'll do a job that Grand Prairie will like and support.
And anything else that happens at school, and I noticed in your paper the other day it said that the Grand Prairie schools, because of our rapid growth in the South, is looking forward to the possibility of another bond issue. Now, that's something y'all really do a good job covering.
It's one of the things we do. Educational issues, whether they be bond issues or curriculum issues in the schools, education has been identified by the Dallas Morning News and by the zone sections like the Grand Prairie Morning News as being really one of our priorities. We expend an awful lot of energy in covering education. I would dare to guess that probably no other newspaper in the United States devotes more resources in terms of people devoted full-time to education. And we do that because we think it is really one of the issues that helps bring readers to newspapers. It's one of the reasons why people subscribe to newspapers, is to find out about the schools that their children are in and that their tax dollars go to support. So education is considered probably one of the premier beats on our newspaper, and it's something that we devote an awful lot of space and resources to. It's an important subject.
A very, very important subject. I know that my family has been very interested in education in Grand Prairie and Dallas County and so forth. I served on the Dallas County School Board 18 years. My husband served on the Grand Prairie ISD board for 12 years, and my son-in-law served on it 6 years, so we just feel...
It's in your blood.
It really is, and we just really do like to support anything that relates to education, and especially in Grand Prairie.
It's a good school district, and the administrators over there are very supportive of our efforts to cover them. So we get a lot of good cooperation there. I think that we provide really comprehensive information about the schools. We can always do better. That's always sort of a watchword in our newsroom, that no matter how well we're doing, we can always do better. So I don't want to sit here and brag too much, because I think there are things that we can do to improve our coverage. But I can guarantee you that it's going to always be at the forefront of our reporting in Grand Prairie.
Grand Prairie is so unique in that it is located in 4 different counties, and but you do such a good job in covering our Tarrant County portion. Our Grand Prairie residents live in the Tarrant County portion, and their boys and girls go to Arlington schools, and that's one of the reasons I'm so glad to see that you're covering both parts of that. And as a matter of fact, I have a map that shows that in our geographic boundaries, we have 9 different school districts. Now, there are not schools or boys and girls or families living in all of those, but the way our ETJ runs and the way Grand Prairie is geographically divided, we have 9 different school districts. And so you're going to have a hard time covering all 9 of them, but the fact that you cover our Tarrant County portion and...
Well, it's interesting of the reception that we've gotten to the new Grand Prairie Morning News. There were a lot of readers in that Tarrant County part of the city who were very concerned, because they were concerned that they were no longer going to be able to get stories about Arlington schools
Yes.
and Arlington events. And luckily we were able to reassure them that they will be getting the same kind of coverage that they've gotten in the past. The emphasis, of course, is going to be on Grand Prairie Municipal and Grand Prairie Schools and Grand Prairie social and cultural events, but there will continue to be news from Arlington, because what we've come to understand is that there is a community of interest between the two cities. There's a lot of rivalry too, which
Yes.
is
That's good.
which is good.
That's healthy.
Absolutely healthy. Absolutely healthy. But there is a community of interest between the two cities, and people in both cities like to know what's going on on the other side of the line. So we'll continue to meet that need.
That's great.
I would say that the Grand Prairie News is a work in progress. We are the product you see and receive today is not going to be the same product you're going to get next month, and the month after that. We are gradually adding elements to our coverage and aspects to our coverage. So we are continuing to evolve as a newspaper and continuing to become much more of a community-based organization than we've ever been in the past. So I would tell readers who are reading us now to stay tuned, that there are some changes on the way.
Do you still want to hear from the constituents in both areas, like letters to the editor?
Absolutely.
Or news stories or whatever?
Absolutely. We are absolutely always interested in getting any kind of feedback, negative or positive, from our readers. People who have events that they're interested in getting coverage on should contact us. Our numbers are in the newspaper, every newspaper. I return every phone call that I get and every email that I receive. So we're interested in public input.
I'm very interested in what's coming down the pike also. I wanted to thank you very much to your reporter, Kim Horner. Now, Miss Kim answered a call when we let her know about Vought Aircraft doing a real special rehab of old aircraft that they're recycling, and the historical things. And as you can tell, I'm really into the history, whether it be Vought in Dallas, because they geographically are in Dallas, but she did such a wonderful job. And Louis, I want to hold this up, because I think this is something that can you get that without a glare? This is one of the great things that Kim put out for us, and I thought it was really, really special. And
she had a lot of fun during that story. Those are really wonderful people.
Yes.
That are doing that, having a lot of fun in their
Yes.
retirement and doing good things. Doing good work.
Well, it really gave them a leg up, because now they're receiving calls of people that want to volunteer.
Good.
And who knows, we may even get some more pictures and some more memorabilia that we desperately need
Right.
in that bank out there. And so,
well, sometimes stories have a way of encouraging people, letting people know about things they weren't aware
Yeah.
of, and that's one of the good things about them. So.
And before we leave, I just must talk with you a little bit about Stephanie Sandoval. Now, she has been a jewel. Now, she and the mayor have words every now and then. that is acceptable. But she has been just a real wonderful lady for us, and she's tough. She gets down to the nitty-gritty of almost everything that she does, and I'm just real thankful that we have someone of that caliber covering our city council, the city hall, and the things that go on in the city, because you know our city has been sort of a slow bloomer, so to speak, but she's been here with us during many of the new things that have come about, and I want to thank you for her.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I think Stephanie deserves that. She's a real asset for our newsroom. She's one of our hardest working reporters. I think she understands Grand Prairie. I think she loves Grand Prairie, and her writing reflects that, and her reportage reflects that. She does a marvelous job of covering Grand Prairie events for us, and we're lucky to have her and glad to have her, and thanks for your kind comments.
Yes, and I want to mention one other lady that's been real good to us also, and that is Linda Jones. Now, Linda, when we, about 2 months ago, we decided we needed a new historical group in the Dalworth community, the South Dalworth Park, Grand Prairie, South Dalworth Park Historical Society came into being. And she covered that and gave us a lot of good information, and has kept in contact with us. And we're getting ready to have our very first full meeting. We had organizational meetings up until that time, but the black community is just really gung-ho about this, and they want to do their own history. And we have a wonderful Masonic lodge down in that area that needs restoration. And we just know that this group is going to get together and help us do good things like that. And because of your paper, many things have been brought to light about different subjects such as that. And we're able to do more good things because your paper gets the news out more than we could on the telephone or letters or begging or whatever. And I wanted to thank you for some of the people that have been just really wonderful to us and helped touch the bases. And we now have a new president, Brunswick Martin. And would you believe that Brunswick was raised in this area, went to school in this area, and now he lives in Arlington. But we have given him a special dispensation pass to live in Arlington, and I believe he works in that area, and he's our new president, and we're real proud of that. And we're looking forward to Linda or someone else carrying the ball for us to get that in the Grand Prairie Morning News.
We'll be glad. Let us know.
It's been in the Grand Prairie Black News a couple of times, and so that's your competitor with us in our historic field, and so we know that we want you to have equal time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Linda Jones is really she's a neat reporter. She is presenting an aspect of the community that we wouldn't normally cover, and she's doing it in a very good way, a very comprehensive way, and she's doing a great job. Thanks for your kind words about her.
You bet. And let's see if there's anyone over now. Valerie Fields Hill. She's been real good to us also, and let's see. I had a check mark by your name because you've been really good to us, and seeing that we get not only fair treatment, but we're getting a little bit more than any of the others that have headlines on your newspaper.
Well, we want to continue that to happen.
Yes. Well, that's many of the things that I wanted to discuss with you, but I wanted you now to just drop the newspaper business, and we're going to look out into the camera, and I want you to tell us about the real Carrie Gunnels. Would you do that?
The real Carrie Gunnels.
Yes, I want you to look out and tell us where you were born, what brought you to the newspaper field, something about your education, what classifies you as an expert to be all of these things that I've just announced, the assistant metropolitan editor and news bureau chief, and I know you didn't start out as that. Tell us a little bit about the beginnings of Carrie.
Well, I'm a native Texan, which is one of the...
Oh, great.
So that is, in my business, that's a little unusual.
Yes, it is.
In my newsroom, at one time I was one of the 3 or 4 native Texans in the newsroom. There are more of us now, but I was raised in West Texas.
Okay.
Big Spring is I consider it my hometown. It's where my mother, my grandmother still live.
Would you like to name them?
Johnny Gunnels and Geraldine Atwell.
All right, and Geraldine is your grandmother?
My grandmother, yes.
And you think of her very specially, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
She's a wonderful lady. She, in fact, you remind me a lot of my grandmother because my grandmother, before she retired, was the curator of the Heritage Museum in Big Spring.
Oh, she's got to be a kindred soul to me.
Absolutely.
Yes,
she
absolutely.
is very interested. Helped create the collection at the Heritage Museum, helped found the Heritage Museum in Big Spring, and collect a lot of the materials in the Heritage Museum there. Mm-hmm. And she compiled a genealogy of our family going back to England in the 1600s. So she's a real special lady.
Yes, she is. What a salute.
She's a great one.
Yes.
I went to school at North Texas, up the road in Denton.
Yeah.
Majored in journalism. I've spent most of my career at various newspapers in Texas.
Where? Where was your first?
My first job out of college was at the Lubbock Avalanche Journal.
Okay.
Up in the Panhandle.
What field in?
Well, my first job was as a night police reporter for the Lubbock Avalanche Journal.
Okay.
And so From there, I went to the Denton Record Chronicle, back to College Town, and I worked at the Dallas Times-Herald in the 70s. I worked at the Austin American Statesman. I spent a brief period of time at the University of Missouri in Missouri teaching journalism, and I came back here in the mid-'80s at the Dallas Morning News. I've spent most of my career at the Dallas Morning News since then on the international desk. I was international.
Oh.
Before I came to Grand Prairie, I was international editor for over 4 years there.
How interesting.
It was an interesting job. Yeah,
Yes.
I was there during a very interesting period of time. The fall of Eastern Europe occurred while I was on the desk. The Gulf War occurred while I was there. So some pretty major stuff happened on my
On your beat.
On my beat, right.
Yes.
So it was an interesting job. It's been an interesting job. As to what qualifies me to have the job I have now, I guess really I've been preparing for it probably my whole life.
Your whole life.
My whole life. A newspaper editor is required to know a little bit about a lot of things, but we're sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none. But I think that I've been in the business for 28 years. I was a reporter for almost a decade, and I've been a reporter for the rest of the period of time. So to me, it's very exciting. It's exciting to start up a new publication like the Grand Prairie Morning News and to help provide members of the community information that they need to make decisions about their community. That's a very exciting. It's very exciting to be part of the Dallas Morning News' suburban strategy. The Dallas Morning News has realized in the last over the last few years how important it is to reach out to readers who live in the suburbs. 2 out of every 3 of our readers live in the suburbs. So the Dallas Morning News understands that if we're going to continue to be the successful organization that we've been in the past, that we need to provide coverage of these communities where most of our readers live. So it's exciting to be part of that kind of effort at the Morning News.
Having been a reporter in the past, what was the most exciting or spectacular story that you've ever had a part in?
That's an interesting question. I think probably the most exciting story and terrible to boot story that I ever covered as a reporter was the 1979 tornado in Wichita Falls that killed 44 people. Yeah. I was one of several reporters for the Dallas Times-Herald that went up there to cover that, and it was a very intense time. Yes. It's the stories I covered there and the people I met there probably, well, they're still with me now. Mm-hmm. So I think probably that was, if not the high point of my career, certainly one of the most dramatic stories that I ever covered. But I did lots of things. I've covered City Hall in both Denton and Dallas. I covered the University of Texas for the Austin American Statesman. I've written feature stories and I've covered business news. So I've done a variety of things over the course of my career. And when I look back on it, I think as a reporter, that's the story and the period of time that I think most about.
Any awards for any of your news writing that you could tell us about?
Well, awards are sort of tricky things.
Yes, they are.
My reporting has been so, I guess probably the award that I'm associated, that I like to associate myself with the most is the Pulitzer Prize that the Dallas Morning News won in 1994 for a series that I helped put together along with a lot of other people at the newspaper. It was called Violence Against Women, and it helped document the way women are abused across the world, internationally. It's a 14-part series that won the Pulitzer Prize. It was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 1994, and I'm very proud to be a part of the team that was awarded that prize then. Oh,
that's wonderful. We have a Brighter Tomorrows in Grand Prairie, Texas that reaches out to the abused men, women, and children, and it's wonderful.
It's a very good program.
Yes, it is a very good program. Now, we have about 3 minutes left on this interview, And I'd like for you to look out into your camera and talk to the young folks that might be watching our show about their possibilities and what they have to give to be able to succeed in a career such as yours.
Well, when I was a teenager, young teenager, I liked to read and I liked to write, and I looked around at the people that I liked to read and liked to write, and I found out that most of them, or at least a good number of them, were journalists before they were novelists, and that's what got me interested in journalism. So I think it's a wonderful. I can't imagine what I would have done over the last 28 years if I hadn't been a journalist. There's a lot of routine drudgery to the work we do, but there's also a lot of excitement to it. So if you like to write and if you enjoy meeting people and sort of being in the know of your community, I think journalism's a wonderful way to make a living. As far as preparing yourself for it, I think you go to school, make good grades, learn how to write, and then start looking for jobs in the newspaper business. Not only in the newspaper business, but in radio and television, internet. I mean, there's just an awful lot of entities out there that people can work for that they weren't there when I got out of school. The internet is a huge market for. There's a huge market on the internet for content, for news, and for information. So I think I think the field of journalism is an interesting place to spend a career. Has been for me anyway.
Wonderful. That is a wonderful explanation to the young folks. I think they ought to adhere to that. Now, in the 1 minute we have left, I want you to talk to the people of Grand Prairie and tell them you have a magic telephone number if they have a good story, if they want to buy the paper, if they want to throw the paper, or whatever. You have a...
I'll give you my phone number, and I'll make sure you get to the right person. My number is 817-695-0393. And if you have access to a computer and internet, my email address is kgunnels@dallasnews.com. And as I say, I respond to all the phone calls and all emails that I get.
Mm-hmm. And you want some good stories about Grand Prairie.
Absolutely, good stories, you bet.
That's wonderful. I want to thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Especially for coming at the last minute when...
it's been a great pleasure.
Yes, we knew you were coming with Miss Linda, but we are glad we had you alone because we have gotten a wonderful story from you, and thank you for adding to our history. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.